Okay, go ahead and call the meeting to order. We're getting started a couple minutes late. I appreciate you all being here on such short notice. We are reconvening yesterday's morning meeting, and we'll move to agenda item number 13. Consider, accept, and approve the site selection and/or conceptual design and/or cost estimate for the proposed jail justice facilities as presented by HDR Architecture, Inc. in open Commissioners Court on Tuesday, August 14, 2007, and further approve submission of the material to Bond Counsel to prepare proposed ballot language for the court's future consideration. Now I'll just open it up for discussion. Well, I think what we were talking about yesterday was whether we want to expand this to finish out the 96 medium beds that are that were some shelled out. I guess it was some shelled out space of the low risk facility that would be built on the north and northeast side of the current downtown jail. I did get some information from Kirk Pardee last night with HDR. He was not able to be here today. He's in Louisiana on another project, but told me it would cost approximately, their estimate is $2.52 million to complete those 96 medium beds. They'd be multiple occupancy beds. The cost to shell out the 5th floor of the tower is $6.375 million. That's to shell it out. To then complete it would be an additional $7.497 million. And that is to provide 288 medium beds that are multiple occupancy. If, however, you wanted to finish out 240 beds of medium high double bunk beds, that would be an additional cost of $7.65 million over and above the price to shell out that additional floor.
Judge, can you go back over that? Because I'm
Sure.
confused in terms of what we're talking about.
I can. Okay. I believe Commissioner Fleming asked yesterday about the possibility of expanding the 96 beds, the space they had talked about that was shelled out, that's already going to be shelled out of the low risk facility. That's I think it's 28,000 square feet or so. I can't remember exactly from the presentation. To do that would cost an additional $2.52 million.
And that is for, describe the beds that we're talking about where?
Those are 96 medium beds that are multiple occupancy cells.
Be over where the parking lot is now, the low risk, where the parking lot is now for the jurors.
Yeah.
That section over there.
And the reason I brought that up, and I've had dental work done today, so I'm still a little, it's not that I've been drinking.
Come on.
Anyway, is because if we added at least the 96 beds, it would get us to a 10-year program. If you look at the 1104 and you add the central jail beds that we have now, and you added the 96, it would be a 10-year program. And that's where I wanted to start the discussion, is because I have a problem with us doing anything less than a 10-year program.
And let me go on to the other portion. There was talk about shelling out a 5th floor of the tower. That's the bigger facility that would be located where the Carlton is currently located. To just shell out an additional floor would cost approximately $6.375 million. Then if you have two options. If you wanted to finish that out, you could either go with medium to high risk beds. That would give you 240 beds. They're double bunk beds, double bunk cells, at an additional cost over and above the shelled out cost of $7.65 million. Or you could go to 288 medium beds that are multiple occupancy cells at a cost of $7.497 million.
Okay, Judge, is that 7.49 million on top of the 6.75?
Yes. Yes.
And all of that is on top of the 99.
That's correct.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Was it the part of one floor that needed to be finished out also?
think that's be the 96 that we're talking about, low risk.
That's not the addition to the back part of the low risk?
It's already going to be shelled out. That space would already have been shelled out in the presentation that they made to us.
But on the HDR, on the large complex, it had one floor that had some shell by the infirmary, I believe, and then you were talking about the top floor also. Is that correct?
Over the administrative offices, wasn't it?
I thought those were for multiple use rooms for,
Had they already been finished out
Yes.
in the price that they gave us?
Yes.
What you're talking about the infirmary, that's at the low risk.
No, it's 96.
96.
Okay.
Yeah, but excuse me, I'd like to.
There is- I think there is another-
When they showed it, they showed
Right.
the west side when they opened, they had the infirmary, and then I think they had some.
That's correct. It was the west side.
Yeah, and then they had some, I think multiple, lowest risk of high risk, whatever that was. So that space was not, because when they gave the presentation, he said that was left to be open and that could be,
That's right. Added, some added beds
they
there.
added beds, and I can't remember how many, but
I can't
It
remember.
was 96. That's what they
96.
talking about. Yeah.
No, but now behind the low risk is where you're talking about,
that was
that
my
heads
understanding.
towards the fire station,
Right.
current location of the fire station. That's
Right.
the 96 that you guys are talking about.
Right, that's right.
So
The
the second
location.
floor, we need a verification on, and then you're talking about the fifth floor to
Yeah, the fifth floor.
add the fifth floor, correct? That's what we're talking about.
Finished, I'd like to see the fifth floor finished out, and if these numbers are what I'm understanding, we're talking about, if we're talking about finishing out these 96 and 288 on the fifth floor, we're talking about a finish out price up to in the neighborhood of 1,600 and some beds at 115 million, give or take a little. Is that what we're talking about, Judge?
No, you'd have to add the 2.52 on top of that.
Well, I did. I thought I did. I thought I did. 115 or 116 million. That's the 2.5, 6.3, and 7.4, whatever. And my math teacher would be rolling in the aisles back there right now. But at any rate, we'll let somebody add that up. But I'm coming up with around 115, 16 million, something like that. Total. Thank you.
I can try to get Mr. Pardee on the phone and see if we can.
yeah, it was shelled in, but that was left in.
15.96.
While we're waiting on that, could somebody explain
16.
to me what's the difference between option A and B on the fifth floor shell out? What, I still haven't grasped that.
Bobby, do you know?
Two different types of beds.
Two different types of
Multiple
beds,
occupancy
but-
beds that are medium risk for the ranking of inmates. The other beds are medium high risk inmates.
Well, do we know which one the sheriff thinks he will need more, or?
You're always safe with going with the maximum. You're always safe with that. And I
Thank
know
you,
it's
sir.
more expensive, I know, but it's,
Okay,
you're
well, I
safe
just-
with, you're safe with that.
Okay.
That means you can use anything in any category there except maximum.
Okay, thank you, Sheriff. So that you'd be talking about the 240 at 7.6 instead of 288 at 7.4. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I was just fixing it. Okay. Yeah.
So the question is, if there's, on the second floor, there's some unfinished space. Let's see if I can find it.
Just in the interim, let me